Hi there, my name is Josh, welcome to Keyboard Talks, and this is the Kawai MP7 SE. It's a new model from Kawai and an updated version of their previous model, the MP7, which was a very good stage piano. And Kawai as a company have always been a bit of an underdog when it comes to stage instruments. In fact, if you look at their range, you'll see they're very similar to their rivals over at Roland, except you gain a lot of things with Kawai's, namely you get a great piano sound and a great piano feel because they are really focused towards a piano realistic experience. On this new version of the MP7, you're gaining an improved action. There's the RH3 Keybed, which is updated from the RH2, and you also get, more notably, a new set of piano tones which are found on other Kawai series models that have been brought over to the SE. This instrument is really tailored towards performers, especially piano players, maybe people in small bands, and the question I'm asking today is, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and should you buy one? So the Kawai MP7 SE, it's actually quite an impressive looking instrument, and to begin with, you got to start with the case. The case is pretty incredible. It's made out of aluminium and steel. It's incredibly sturdy. It's got this kind of black textured polished look. They're trying to go for that grand piano style kind of look about it with a full board with a Kawai writing on it. I do like it. It's a little bit old school, but it's definitely unique in the market, especially when you've got things like the RD2000, the Nord Grand, the Core Grand Stage. It very much stands by itself with this look, and they're really trying to appeal to the purist piano players with this finish, and it does look pretty striking. The layout is very familiar, especially if you're used to the Roland layout, and in fact, if you've used any Kawai in the last 20 years, you're going to be able to sit down and just be able to use this straight away. It's laid out with their sounds in a category of 8, so you've got 8 categories to choose from, piano, electric pianos, drawbars, so on, and then they're organized into 8 subcategories, and then within each subcategory, there's 4 sounds to choose from, so that's a total of 256 sounds if you're doing the maths as we go. So that's lots to use. Plenty of flexibility there. As we move along the panel, you've got this LCD display that lays out all the options that you have for each sound, and it changes as you change sound. Now you've got these control dials on the side so you can control the effect. Now they're all right, but they're not great live because the parameters change very much from setting from sound to sound, so it's a little bit hard to do quick adjustments, and they don't really give you the sort of things you need to adjust quickly on the display, so I kind of don't use those when I'm using this instrument. They do have an effects panel over here though, so you can assign up to 4 effects per sound, which is pretty neat. Things like reverb, amp simulation, and other effects. And then over here we've got the mixer. Now the mixer's really great, and they call it their 4-zone system, and I'll get into that a little bit later on. Now for a start, the first thing that's to note about this instrument is you've got the great RH3 action, and this is the signature feature of this instrument, one of the signature features of this instrument. It plays really, really great, and it feels awesome. I talked about this action in my video on the Nord Grand. The link for that is in the description, but basically this is a brilliant action, and Nord have gone and used it in their flagship instrument, and Kawai, they've refined it for this one with the RH3, and it just plays great. It's so natural, coupled with the fact that you've got the awesome new SKEX sound source. It's a really good combination. Now, the SKEX sound source are the sounds that Kawai have been rolling out on all their digital pianos over the last couple of years, and they're new sounds, new piano sounds, primarily the SK sound and the EX sound. They're Kawai's own grand pianos. The SK is more classic Kawai. It's very mellow, very warm. The EX, on the other hand, sounds like one of their competitors, primarily Yamaha. It's much brighter and bolder. So I'll put on some headphones and let's take a listen. So pretty bold, pretty bright, and also quite warm. And as we progress, we've also got some electric pianos, and Kawai do a really good job. They're actually often quite underrated. I wouldn't say they're naturally 100% authentic, but they're certainly pretty full and pretty rich, and some of their competitors really don't do anywhere near as well Kawai do, especially when it comes to Rhodes and Wurlitzers. They come out really, really well. So they're pretty impressive tones, and you get a great variety of them. 32 different electric pianos, which is pretty neat. Now, the drawbar organs are probably a little bit weaker. I don't think they've quite got the same range that someone like Roland might have in a similar type instrument. They're not unusable, but they're definitely not as strong as what we're finding on, the Hammond SK1 or the Nord Electro or any kind of similar instrument. We're seeing a lot of other brands go really, really far ahead with their organ modeling, and Kawai they're not really at that point. Having said that, though, you've got a crazy weighted action. I'm not sure I'd want to be doing a lot of organ work on this anyway, so I don't think I'm going to miss out particularly much when it comes to the drawbar organs. They do have some pipe organs as well, but probably where this is stronger is where it comes to the strings and pads. So there's plenty of fun sounds in there. Some of their pads are definitely a bit old school, but some of the lead synths are pretty usable as well. So it's a good variety. Some stuff great, some a bit older, but all in all a pretty good variety from Kawai there. Now where things get really interesting is when we get to the mixer. Now Kawai have created this mixer to be able to layer sounds pretty easily. All you have to do is turn on the layer you want, select the sound you want, and away you go. And all you have to do is adjust the volume level with the slider. So I've got piano there, and I bring up the strings. Pretty neat. But I can do much more. I can layer 4 sounds that way. So I could say just add in maybe like an electric piano, for instance, like a classic EP, and then maybe I could add in a digital, kind of like a modern EP. So I get this crazy stacked sound. Now, say for instance, I wanted to have piano from here to all the way up to the end. All I have to do is select my piano layer, which is main, hold down the on button and go bottom and my end point, and it's now split that keyboard. So if I play here, it's actually split the keyboard at that point. Now there is a lot more you can do with the mixer. Now I've been using internal sounds, but you can actually use it to control external stuff as well. All you have to do is change it to the external setting for each slider, and then you can control whatever MIDI device you want, whether it's hardware synths or software synths, and you can control the volume levels of all of those straight on the keyboard. Now this is going to work really well with MainStage or any kind of software-based synth. So, the Kawai MP7 SE. Big question, should you buy it? Well, if you've already got a Kawai MP7, I'll probably say not so much. If you are looking at upgrading from another instrument, you've had a stage instrument for a while, or maybe it's your first one, you should definitely consider it, especially if the quality action is a thing for you and quality piano tones as well. The build quality is also second to none. That case is fantastic. Even though the layout might be a little bit old school, it's going to work, and it's going to work well. If you're a piano purist, it really is for you. With that action, those piano sounds, whether you play jazz or classical or you're just an all-rounder. And it'll work really good in a small band environment where you're using those layers with the synths and a piano perhaps, maybe a basic split. That's going to work really well. I'd probably say it might struggle in a larger band environment. I've often found that some of those bass tones, the mid-tones, do get lost when you start adding in other instruments, so you probably need to EQ it a little bit. The other place I can see this working quite well is as a MIDI controller keyboard in a studio, because it's got that great action and those sliders. It's going to give you a lot of options for controlling your external MIDI gear. And then the biggest winner with this is price. This is all also going to depend on where you are in the world, but certainly here in Australia, very easy to get for well under $3,000. It's competing against, instruments that are far more expensive than it, things like the Grand Stage by Korg, the Nord Piano. It's very, very competitive and very fully functioned, especially with all the sounds that it includes and those sliders. It's a great instrument. Kawai have always done a good job with the MP series, and I recommend this one quite highly. So, thank you for watching this episode of Keyboard Talks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why don't you press subscribe? I'm going to be doing more videos like this every single week. Leave us a like, or if you want to know anything more about that instrument or any other instrument for that matter, leave a comment as well. Also, I want to give a thank you to the team at Keyboard Corner for providing this instrument so I could do this talk. Their link is in the description as well. And you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram with the handle @Keyboard Talks. And so until the next time, I'll see you in the next Keyboard Talks.